Good morning, guys. Today is the 10th of December, Sunday. Working another puzzle. Again, these puzzles help me with my anxiety. They help me have to sit. You know, the pieces, I'll think a piece fits perfectly and you know, I'll try to fit another piece next to it, won't work. So I have to go back and I'll find out, oh, I put the wrong piece there. I got to move it. There's tons of new people on the channel now, and I just want to sort of welcome everybody that's new. I want to thank everybody for leaving comments, thoughtful comments. I have a lot of people that are, you know, it's so nice to just be surrounded now by, you know, people who are thinking for themselves. It takes courage, you know, to leave comments, and, you know, I have people telling parts of their stories and their journeys, and who they are, their experiences. I have people, you know, asking me why I think certain ways that I think. Guys, I have a ton of content explaining pretty much everything that I think and the way I've been processing things. This channel here has several playlists that are really good. I organized everything in playlists that will help you, you know, figure out where I'm coming from. And then I had to start another channel because this channel was originally started over a year and a half ago when I had another brain injury. I've had several in my life. Many I had never healed from. I didn't even think they were a real thing until 2 brain injuries ago. You know, it pretty much swept my feet from under me. I had to go live with family because I couldn't even take care of myself. But I had another one about a year and a half ago, and I had to lock myself in my house and in order to recover. I didn't think I was going to make it through. It took everything I had to be able to recover from this one. But in the process, I realized, you know, I originally thought I was just healing from a brain injury, but in the process, I realized that I had never faced anything in my life. I had been running from all my issues, all my problems, putting a Band-Aid on all my situations, never really getting down to the root, the fundamental, the core of what the issue was. So when I thought I was going to die, and I realized I had an enlightenment of, you know, I had failed as a father because I have 3 children. My youngest is 14. My oldest is 25. But I have 3 children, and you know, it just came to me like an epiphany in my mania that I was going through, and that my severe anxiety, and it was bad. That before I died, I needed to recompense and do all I could to leave some kind of, not so much a legacy, but something for my children to be able to find their way out of this mess that we find ourselves in this 3D illusion that we live in. So I started this channel, and it's just, you know, from there, I went from just thinking I was healing a brain injury and sharing some insights with my kids on how to truly live and what was important, to having to face all my shit, my childhood trauma and abuse. I was severely abused mentally, physically, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally by my mother growing up. You know, I grew up in this world, you know, facing everything that wasn't, I mean, I was like a feral cat, basically. I ran away at 12 years old, 14 years old, and then finally made it away for good at 16. The abuse was bad. You know, it was unbearable. I was suicidal my whole teenage life, and throughout my adult life. You know, I had 2 businesses. I've been married twice, you know, and I could never figure out what was wrong. And it was all because I had never faced my shit. It starts at birth. What I came to find out, you know, I started healing my childhood trauma. And then as I did, you know, my journey has been one of complete honesty and courage, because when you get that close to death and you really think you're done, and you feel you have your mindset, okay, well, I'm going to recompense and use these last moments of my life to right the wrongs that I did, and for the lives that I purposefully, put into this enslavement. You lose all sense of pride and ego, and all that's out the window, and you're just looking for the answers. You're looking for the solutions. You're looking, there's no more making excuses. There's no more, oh, well, it's just the way it is. There's no more, none of that. It's having to face everything. So, I was facing my childhood trauma and abuse, and I was doing all of these modalities. I had hired a yoga teacher to come in my house one day to teach me yoga moves, because I had injured myself during my brain injury. I had injured myself 2 places in my spine and in my neck. So, I not only was I mentally and emotionally a complete wreck, but I was also physically having severe issues and pain. But I think that being said, I think that we are all in pain. That's what I've come to find through my honest reflections, is that it all starts at birth. Our parents placing us, signing, naming, numbering, and cataloging us into these slavery systems. I think from my conclusions, it is extremely apparent to me that we live in a purposefully controlled, highly narrated, orchestrated, as Shakespeare said, a play. And everybody in it is characters, and those characters, come to find out, are our egos that we play. And this healing process, that when you really are truly wanting to heal, and you're not taking no for an answer, and you are going to figure your shit out, you come to the conclusion that, the ego has to go. We have to crush the ego. The ego is a straw man. It's a false self. It is the character that is purposely put in the driver's seat of this physical avatar at birth by these abusive, toxic systems and environments and social castes and cultures that we live in order to keep us on the perpetual hamster wheel of mindless consumption, and keeping us so busy that we can't take the time to think for ourselves and get out of groupthink, think for ourselves, use our ability to reason, which is taking a thought through our heads, filtering it through, coming up with, the goods and the bads of that thought, coming to conclusions, and then acting accordingly. Instead, we just go, oh, well, it's just the way it is. Oh, well, when in Rome, the strongest, dog eat dog, what doesn't kill you make you stronger, only the strong survive. All these excuses for the current situation that we find ourselves in, socially, which is utter chaos. And it takes each one of us individually to feed into that system for that to even exist. This whole matrix, this whole illusion only exists because we give it the only currency that we actually have in this world is our attention. And we give that freely away. We give that away to all these breads and circuses and all these distractions, and we give it up to all these false authorities. We give our own authority and authenticity completely away, and allow them to dictate, again, our character in the grand scheme of things. That's why a lot of people find it hard. That's why not many people actually do this healing. They'll stop and they'll find yoga or breathing techniques or this or that healing modality, and then they will grasp onto it and they'll jump right back into the matrix. They'll go back to work. They'll go back to accumulating things and, and living in this and participating and propagating our enslavement. We can't even, everything that we own is made by slaves. Okay, slaves in other countries that are working 16 hours a day, living in slum kind of conditions, making these devices that we're on and we use daily for our entertainment. And it's off the back of slaves. And then, we can get all the way down to, it's not just them, but us here in these first world countries are wage slaves. Back our whole education system was set up in the 1900s, early 1900s, right at the turn of the century from the 1800s to the 1900s by Rothschild, who figured out, or Rockefeller, whoever it was, that figured out that the 1700s Prussian education system was set up to create obedient, compliant soldiers for their military. By the time they put them through this 8-year mandatory education system, and they would churn out these kids at 14 years old and put them straight into the military. So, because what was happening was when with the Industrial Revolution, we had nobody wanted to work in these factories, because back then people were pretty much free, supposedly. If you want to believe any of history, I believe all history is a lie. History's written by the winners. Our history's completely narrated. We can see in real time how the powers that be constantly rewrite our current history and current events that are happening. They write them in their own way, skewing them in their own way, narrating them in their own way to guide and shift humanity into thinking and behaving in whatever way they want them to. So anyways, if you want to believe history, our current education system was set up in the 1900s by Rothschild, Rockefeller, whoever it was, based off the 1700s Prussian system, because our factories in America, nobody wanted to work in them. So, he worked with the government and through his nonprofits, established these nonprofits to establish our current education system. And I call it the indoctrination system, because that's exactly what it is. And the purpose of it was to put people through, have them sit down and basically break their spirit, break what makes them human, and turn them into automatons, so that way they would work in these factories. So again, it all just goes back to, we are purposefully enslaved. It's up to us. We have a little bit of free will as of this moment. And the reason I think the time is now to actually face our shit and do our healing is because, at the moment, we still have the free will of what we put in our mouths, in our noses, in our eyes, in our ears, and on our body, and in our body, right? And in our minds. The way things are going, if they end up doing these re-education camps for people who don't, won't comply, and because they already created the whole psychiatric industry. They already created that whole industry to make people like me deem us as mentally ill. We do have mental disorders and the only reason we have mental disorders is because we refuse to follow their orders. They don't want anybody thinking for themselves. They want automatons. They want mindless minions. They want brain dead zombies. They want people to fill the positions and generate the energy for the machine. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to get caught up in the wheels and you're going to get tossed out the back and forgotten about. And so that's why it's important, because right now, the way things are going, I believe what is happening is through cataclysms or whatever they do, whatever they tell us that happens throughout history, is every 200 years or so, they are resetting humanity, because this matrix, what happens, it has its control over us up until, we are innately, okay, let me go into this. We are innately born whole. Okay, we are completely intelligent. We are we are completely empathic. We are all knowing. We have everything. We come to this life with everything we need. All we required from our parents is to give us a safe space, to nurture what is naturally ours and organic in us. But instead, you know, our parents, you know, act as agents of the state. And instead of doing that, they teach us how to be these compliant, obedient automatons that they were taught to be. And it's generational. So, you know, this whole healing process, to heal comes from the oh God, man, I'm going to mess it up. I can't remember. I just had a brain fart. But it comes from, I believe it's the Greek word kailaz or kaizal, which means whole, to make whole. So when we're healing, we're reclaiming these parts of ourselves that were shattered. Okay, this all goes back to like the government's CIA mind control, MK Ultra, all this stuff. They know how to shatter us and, you know, and put us in fight or flight and create alter egos in our minds and create cognitive dissonance, because then we become easy to control. So the powers that be know all this. What's happening now is the masses are starting to figure this out. And so as the masses are figuring this out, I believe we're at the beginning of another reset, because as we figure this out, of course, we're going to quit playing their games. We're going to quit participating in their breads and circuses. We're going to detach from their 3D illusion. We're going to start thinking for ourselves. We're going to raise our vibrations and our energies. We're going to reclaim that wholeness that we are, you know, all knowing, all intelligent, which means that we no longer have to rely on their experts and their teachers. We no longer have to, put any value in their education indoctrination system. We no longer put any value in acquiring paper diplomas to prove our worth. You know, we no longer put our value in this fake ass currency that isn't even, tangible. We can't even hold anymore. It's just zeros and ones on a screen somewhere. And what happens is, through our healing, we recognize that our true value is in our attention and where we are placing our attention. And so by pulling our attention back and from everywhere we've been putting it, because where we put our attention is what we worship. Okay. So if you're, into politics and you're constantly like, oh my God, this is going on, that's going on, and your attention's in war and you're like, oh my God, this is going on, that's where your attention, you're worshiping that. You're sending all your energy. You are dulling yourself and putting yourself in this little box and playing that character they want you to play. And so anyways, by pulling, and it doesn't matter if it's celebrity, it doesn't matter if it's entertainment, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're putting your attention somewhere else and you're giving your authority over to somebody else, and you're trusting in experts for your knowledge, and you're trusting in experts for your answers, and you need to consult a professional in order to know anything, you are playing the part. You are feeding this whole matrix. The whole part of healing is becoming whole again. We are no longer shattered. We are pulling back all the parts of us. We are recognizing and accepting things for what they are. We are reclaiming our authority. We are facing our shit, facing our demons. We are being honest with ourselves. We are not taking no for an answer. We are not using excuses. We are using the faculties of our mind, our faculties of reasoning, intelligence, wisdom, and using our will to focus on ourselves. So we are now taking that attention and turning inwards, and that's where the healing process comes. It's very simple. It's extremely simple, but it all started at birth. And it takes extreme courage. It takes extreme courage and radical honesty, and not settling for excuses, not settling for reasonings. But I just want to welcome to everybody to the channel. That's just a brief overview of my thought processes. Again, I have, several playlists on this channel you guys can go and take a look at, that pretty much break down and prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt what's going on. I mean, it's just up to you to recognize and accept what it is. That's the first step in this whole healing process, recognizing and accepting things for what they are. And, You know, most people can't get past that, you know, and then they say, oh, I'm healing. And all they're doing is they're still playing the games, still participating in the fake sports and the fake politics and the fake this and the fake that and the illusion of this and the illusion of money and the illusion of jobs and the illusion of social hierarchies and the illusion of family and the illusion of friends and the illusion of going along to get along and the illusion of groupthink. And all they're doing is they're doing yoga, or they're doing breathing techniques, or they're doing both, you know, or they're getting out in nature more, and now they're worshiping nature. You know, and that's not the answer. We are source. We are everything we need. And that is the realization. That's where our power lies, is reclaiming all that for ourselves and realizing that our attention is what matters. And you know, they've been beating us down our whole lives, telling us that we're nothing. Since we were born, been telling us that we need to learn how to eat, how to sleep, how to fit in, how to go to work, how to learn, how to sit down, how to shut up, how to comply, how to be obedient, you know, how to say yes, how to never say no, how to consume, how to never stop consuming, how much we deserve all this bullshit, 3D illusion shit. You know, so everything we're doing with this healing process goes completely against the programming. So what we're doing in the healing is we're breaking all the old programmings. We're breaking all the old habits, you know, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, by far, by far. I've been a roofer for 20 years. I was in the Army infantry for 3 years. At 18, I had my kid. I mean, I've ran the gauntlet of this life, and it was not an easy life. Like I said, I was like a feral cat up until I did this healing. I mean, I've had severe anxiety, severe depression, suicidal throughout my life, but I lived a fast, crazy, hard existence. And, you know, there's no satisfaction. Everything this world offers is just temporary, and it creates lack, desire, confusion, fear, doubt, worry, strife. And that shit just builds and builds on your back until you decide to face your shit and take care of it. Personal responsibility and discipline is a must in this. And again, you know, you got to quit lying to yourself. You got to quit blowing smoke up your ass. You got to quit gaslighting yourself and blaming yourself for things and blaming other people for your existence. You got to point, everything comes back here, because, you know, otherwise you're a victim. You're playing victim. And that's going to get you nowhere quick, and just keep you cycling through. So, also, I have another channel. It's called Embodied Souls, EMBODIED Souls. I have a couple great videos on there. One's called Truth, Fact, Reality, and Explanation. That will give you a good insight into what I'm talking about how easy it is to remain in truth, fact, reality, because truth, fact, and reality is pure, organic, and natural. And I explain all that. And then also the one right before that, or right after that I posted, is called the Matrix Illusion Construct. And I explain how this whole system works through us giving up our authority to others. And then now, instead of living in truth, fact, and reality, we live in a belief system. We have belief systems, which are just constructs. And that's where the whole boxes start, where they, you know, put you in a box, you put yourself in it, you limit yourself. See, we are unlimited, but we choose, they put us in a box, and then we choose to stay in that box because that box is comfortable and it's all we've known our whole lives. So true change is extremely difficult, guys. Like I said, this is the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. But because my 25-year-old son, we talk, you know, he lives here with me. We talk and are going through this journey together. And, you know, thankfully. And, man, we have some of the most amazing, thought-provoking, honest conversations I could have ever imagined. And so I was telling him, you know, a couple weeks ago, I was just sitting there, and you know, we sit in silence a lot. And I just, out of the blue, I was just like, Brandon, you know, these conversations I have with you and what I've done in the past year and a half is the only thing in my life that has ever mattered. Everything else I've lived 43 years prior to this, and as a fool, as a complete fool. Like I said, a feral cat, a fool. I lived in fear and with my back against the wall and in survival mode. And now, you know, detaching from everything and learning how to love myself. You know, when I first started doing my inner child work, I had heard somebody say, you know, well, look in a mirror and honestly tell yourself, sit down and tell yourself that you love yourself. And when I did that, I couldn't even get the words. I went, I love, and I just started bawling. And because at that moment, in that moment of clarity and honesty, I realized that I never loved myself in my life. You know, I was a severe alcoholic for 25 years. And I realized that, you know, I was abusing myself on purpose because I hated myself. So yeah, anyways, welcome to the channel, guys. Please feel free to leave comments. Comments are important. Comments are very important because they let others know that they're not alone. You know, right now we still have going back. So, you know, this world, we got to exercise our free will, what we put in and on our bodies and minds while we still have the opportunity. Because if we get put in internment camps or re-education camps or, you know, forest fire happens to come through your area and wipe you out and everybody else in your town, you know, and you never have the opportunity to heal, you know, this is our opportunity while we still have what little free will we have, because we can heal, you know, it is possible. But, you know, again, it takes detaching and falling and detaching from the illusion and, you know, letting go of nostalgia and letting go of the love of the drama of this grand scheme, this grand play that we're all in. And I lost track of thought, but yeah. Oh, the comments. So yeah, you know, leave comments, guys. It helps, you know, this is what the connection. So that way people, because, you know, when you go through this healing process, you think you're going crazy. You think you're losing your fucking mind. You know, you'll go to bed one night thinking you've made a huge progress in your journey and feeling like $1,000,000 and, you know, like, oh my God, I can't wait for tomorrow. And you'll wake up the next day and you will be like, what the fuck am I doing? I am fucking up so bad. I need to go back to my old way of living. I don't know what I've been thinking. I'm crazy. So, you know, and that comes from many different things. It comes from, you know, breaking habits, breaking programs. It comes from the being uncomfortable doing things that you've never done, the uncomfortability of change, the ELF and RF signals that we're constantly being bombarded with, that I think this whole matrix programming runs off of, that are, you know, pervasive and run through everything in this world. So yeah, the comments are very important. Leave your story, leave your thoughts, leave where you're at on your journey. It gives others the courage to do the same. And that builds, you know, those types of things, they build. That's where, again, that's by leaving a comment, you're showing that you're giving attention to other people's healing processes and to your own, in order to make it important enough to take the time to leave a comment and let people know what's going on with you. So I think comments are extremely important. Please feel free to leave your comments. Yeah. And just remember, guys, take care of yourself because nobody else will.